All right, hey, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this, if you do. I just wanted to make a quick little video of one of my tasks today is to chicken and rabbit proof all of our gardens, which we had originally done with chicken wire around the bottom 2 feet of all of our fences. Since then, it's kind of gotten like squished down, beat down, and I don't know if the rabbits are getting in here. I'm sure they are. The deer are not because of our electric fence system, and but the chickens are. And as you can see, we have all this nice lettuce coming up and spinach, and the chickens are going to love to peck at that and eat it. It's not so much that they're eating it, it's they're scratching through it, which is tearing it up. And also they're scratching through all the wood mulch that we have on the walk rows, and they're basically scattering that into the beds, and it's just making it a disorganized, sloppy mess. So to prevent our lettuce from being destroyed by scratching or eating, and also to keep the chickens out of the garden, we're going to fix the chicken wire. So you can kind of see here, let me see if I can get a better angle. You see how that's all folded down right there? So the chickens are coming in there and walking across that, or trying to hop across it, and they're pushing it down each time. Because, you know, it's I don't know, probably an 8-foot run between the posts here. So there's not a lot to hold it up in the middle. And, you know, we should have done this right away when we first installed this chicken wire, because we also wrapped it down and around and put mulch and cardboard over top of it to keep digging animals from, like rabbits, from trying to dig underneath the chicken wire. They dig down to that mulch, they're going to hit chicken wire. They try to go forward, they're going to hit chicken wire. But unfortunately, over time, the top line has sagged, and it's letting in things that we don't want in the gardens. So what I did was I took braided steel cable and these compression knurlings, and I compressed one knurling onto it, and then I stretched a cable. I cut it to a little oversized length, wrapped it around this T-post and back, grabbed a hold of this end with the vice grips, and then pulled it as tight as I could. And with the other hand, I would compress this knurling nut there, which is basically like a soft aluminum kind of nut, or it's kind of like a compression ring. It's made out of aluminum, and when you squish it, it holds both strands compressed together. And now, look at that. It's like a guitar string. So now I got to take my chicken wire and try to lift it a little bit as I go up, and stretch it a little bit so that it can meet that wire. So it's pretty close right now if I hold it up here. So I'll try to get it without pushing this wire down. I'll try to get it a little bit above there with both hands, working my way along here, just stretching and pulling, stretching and pulling, stretching and pulling, stretching and pulling, all the way across here until I get the whole run level with or just above this. And then we take this handy dandy little DeWalt, what this is called is a ring pliers. So there's like staples in here, otherwise known as hog rings. You'll notice that farmers will put these rings in the nose of a hog, kind of like little earrings on some of our millennials in their nose rings. Well, that keeps them from rooting around in the dirt, because it irritates their nose when they start rooting around. But these things are really handy to have for anything else that you might want to do. So we used it, I think, on the hoop house for a couple different things. We've used it other places to attach one thin piece of metal to another, or wires to another. We used it down in the grow space when I was, I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was mounting the rack fans, and we used a couple of these. Super handy to have around. You're not always going to use it, but you will. So basically you load the staples, I don't know if you can kind of see that, into the back of the pliers, right? And then, let me see if I can So then you just squeeze, and you can see how it compresses that ring, and it's got little sharp points on there too, so if you need to punch through something, you can. And that's what it looks like. Okay, so what I'm doing, and I don't know if I can do this one-handed, so, but basically you take this wire and then you would put the hog wire opening over this braided cable, bring your chicken wire up to it. Let's see if I can do this. Sorry about the shakiness. Like that. See how both wires are in that staple? And then just compress. And now look, boom, it's held. And so, just like a staple gun, now that I've got all this fencing pulled up nice and tall, then I go through and use those ring staples to hold the chicken wire to the braided steel cable. That, you know, it can't go down that far if the chickens try to get on it. Plus, it will never stay down. It's always going to maintain that rigidity of that cable. And, you know, they can push against it all they want. It's not going to really hurt anything. But it just keeps it high enough so that the chickens won't try to jump over it. Ideally, we might have to run a new strand of chicken wire around some spots because you can kind of tell how this one sags. We've had so much mulch pulled on here and it's been compressed down. It's about as far as I can pull it up, but it really needs to be about 2 inches higher. So we may run a new strand, disconnect these little wires from that braided cable, run a new length of chicken wire on top of this one, and then just staple it to the line. That line should be like up here. Sorry, that line should be up here. So if we run a second layer here, staple the two together, and then staple to the braided steel cable, it'll only be like an inch gap between the electric wire and the fence. And that's basically all we need. It's a tall barrier that prevents rabbits from getting in. It's a tall barrier to prevent the chickens from walking in, but it also prevents them from trying to like hop over and fly, because our electric wires are so close together, they won't do it, especially when the fence on. And they won't try to squeeze through that little gap. So I think this will work just as advertised. I don't see why it wouldn't. When we had the chicken wire freshly installed and it was tall and it was all standing straight up, we didn't have problems with chickens or rabbits in the garden. But now we do, because it's all pushed down in certain spots. When we try to chase the chickens out of here, they'll keep running around like this one. They won't try to escape through there to get out of the garden when we're trying to chase them out. They'll run around until they find a low spot like this one, all folded over, and then they'll kind of hop, skip, and jump through there. But now, with the rings and the wire standing straight up, they shouldn't want to do that anymore. And they'll stay out rather than getting in, and thus have to chase them out through those same spots that they kind of came in the garden. So again, all I'm using is the DeWalt galvanized, see if I can get that to focus, sorry. The DeWalt galvanized hog rings. I don't know if I can focus on that. Okay, and these are 11/16. And then you can pick up the DeWalt hog ring pliers. It's not very expensive, super handy to have around. And then I picked up a spool of, I think this is actually stainless steel cable, but you could use galvanized braided steel cable or galvanized steel cable. I'm using stainless steel cable because we bought it for the grow space and we didn't want any rust on it. But out here, if it rusts, I don't care. But I had this. We didn't use much of it at all, so I'm going to use it around the gardens. Make use of it. And then these are the little knurling nuts, or I don't even know what they're called. Compression knurlings. Basically, then you got to get pliers like this. It's specifically made to compress those nuts. This one I got at Menards. It's AOOCY. I don't know what that means, but it's obviously it's the company brand name. And then you take a little nut here, and if I could get it to stay, maybe I can lock this up here. So I don't know if you can see that. Basically, just like a crimps, you put it in the right slot like that, and then you just squeeze the handle and it'll compress. And you've got it crimped. Now, if there was something in here, it would have crimped it together and not let it go. So that's how we do the steel cable. You could also, if you wanted, crimp one side of the cable, like that one, and then get little mini turnbuckles. It's got like a eye hook on one end and then a hook on the other end, with like the barrel in the middle, and they're threaded on both ends. So that way you basically connect the steel cable to the eye hook with the eyelet side of the turnbuckle. You basically use your knurlings and your braided cable, loop it around through there, crimp it, and the other side has a hook. And so then you attach it to something, and then you turn that barrel, and it'll pull that cable. It'll pull all the tension out of that cable, so it'll be nice and tight. Because this is just a bunny guard for our gardens, I didn't feel like, paying. I think they're like $1 or $2 a piece for those things, even the small ones. And we would need 1, 2, 3. I mean, count how many sections of fence are around here in just this one student garden and rental plot garden. It's not very cost efficient for us. So next best thing is to just run individual strands from post to post. That way we don't have one long strand that's going to sag in the middle. These are pretty tight from post to post. As long as you don't try to pull the posts over, you should be okay. And then, crimped it there by pulling on it with the vice grips, and then at the same time crimping it so it's nice, stays nice and tight. Hog wire it to it. All done. Yeah, I'm getting old. I'm making old man noises when I get up. A little stiff and sore today. So that's all. I just wanted to kind of show you one task I was working on, trying to get some progress made. I'd like to get at least 1 or 2 sections done before I have to go to work this afternoon. And then tomorrow I'll try to get 2 more sections done and all hog wired or hog ringed, and then this garden should be secure and I can let the chickens out. Now, when we get other stuff planted in the other gardens, the production gardens and one of the rental plots, when we get stuff planted, well, we do have stuff planted, but when it starts coming up and the chickens want to start getting in there and scratching around and kind of tearing up the plants, I will try to head them off at the pass and put more of this wire on those gardens as well. All right. Well, I will talk to you soon. Just a little way of securing your garden that I kind of came up with. I thought maybe somebody else might, find it useful and put it to use in their project, or find a use for the hog rings for something else. Yeah, just share what you know. Doesn't cost anything. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.